Okay, confession time. This episode, it's one of those ones. The kind you always tell me you love most. The raw, unscripted, and straight from my bed, recorded onto my phone with a lump in my throat and a whole lot of truth. You might have heard a version of this story before that I'm about to tell you, but today I'm finally telling you the full thing. The night I thought I was dying. Literally. And what it taught me about anxiety, panic attacks, and how to stop them before they spiral. So if you've ever felt like your nervous system was running the show, or like your emotions were too much to handle, this one's for you. So grab your favorite drink, throw on your cozy socks, and curl up under your favorite blanket, and let's dive in. Hey there! You just stumbled into the Anxious Creative Podcast, where overthinking turns into ahas, mess-ups become magic, and anxious spirals, totally part of the process. I'm Dawn Bradley, your messy, imperfect host, here to help you, the recovering people pleaser, the perfectionist, to stop chasing the unachievable and start embracing the chaos. Spoiler alert, that's where the real magic happens anyway. So buckle up, friend, because we're about to have some laugh so hard till you cry moments, a few hard truths to help you grow, and naturally a little, or let's be honest, a lot, of oversharing. You ready? Let's dive in. Before I tell you how to stop a panic attack before it even starts, I want to tell you a story. I had read this book called Do Less, and it was all about minimalism. And I had been getting rid of a lot of stuff, and I was purging a lot of physical things from past parts of my life that I didn't need to be hanging on to anymore. And after I'd done this, it was a really huge release, except the one thing I really regret, to be honest, is I threw out all my CDs. I know, don't judge me. I don't know what I was thinking. I was just in the frenzy of getting rid of things, and everything was going digital. And I was like, I won't need these CDs anymore. And I had one of those big, 4-disc envelopes, full. I used to collect CDs like crazy, and I don't regret a lot in my life, but let me tell you, I regret that so much. Anyway, I digress. I had gotten rid of a lot of stuff, and I was moving in a couple days, and we had ordered pizza, and I had got this quattro formaggio pizza from one of my favorite pizza places here in Calgary, and it was so yummy, and I devoured it. And then shortly after I finished eating it, I was like, something doesn't feel good. Something doesn't feel right. And I remember going to sleep that night, just my guts turning. And I was like, I wish I would throw up, but I can't. And tossing and turning and not being able to get my stomach to settle. And then I don't even know what time it was at, but then I started to throw up, and I threw up all the pizza, which is disgusting. And I'm so sorry for the visual. But I threw up the pizza, and then I got this wave of relief, that pain. I don't know if you've ever had that pain, but I always think when I don't feel well, when I feel sick to my stomach, I always think, I can't remember what it feels like to feel good. You feel so terrible. And so then I got this wave of relief for about 60 seconds. And then the pain came on again, and I was like, what? And the pain, and I reaved, is that a word? I riled in pain in bed for 20 minutes until I threw up again. And then the relief, and it was oh, wonderful, this is it. And I would have a minute of relief, and then again, and to the point where I'm how much food do I got in my stomach? But then after doing this a few times and the same repeated pattern, it was just stomach bile that was coming up. And it was freaking me out. And I was starting to get a little bit worried. And then my body started convulsing. And I was completely coherent. That's the strangest thing. I could understand what was going on around me, but I couldn't stop throwing up every 20 minutes. And I remember turning to my boyfriend at the time and being call the health link. And so we called, I think it's 311 that we call here, and we can talk to a registered nurse. And I think she's having a seizure, bring her in. And then hearing someone say, I'm but I'm coherent, but I can't stop throwing up. I couldn't move my body, probably should have called an ambulance, didn't. And I dragged my body along the floor. I had to throw up 2 more times in the house on the way to the front door. And then I threw up on our front lawn before I got into the car. I can picture it still, but I almost picture it as an out-of-body experience, which is wild. And I remember laying on the back of the car as we drove to Rocky View Hospital here in Calgary, and me laying down on the floor in the hospital, and you gotta feel sick if you're going to lay on the floor in a hospital. So there I was, and I laid down on the floor, and then all of a sudden they're like, all right, Kimberly Bradley, because FYI, if you didn't know, my legal first name is Kimberly. Kimberly Bradley, we're ready to see you, come back here. And I was like, relief, I'm going to see a doctor. We get through these doors. And what it was is it just took me to another waiting room. And that's when things got really bad. I couldn't breathe at this point anymore. My limbs were going numb and stiff, and I thought for sure I was having a stroke. I had taken first aid. I was one course, let's talk about regrets for a second. I was one course away from becoming a lifeguard in high school. And you know what got in my way? Anxiety. Oh my gosh, I feel like I could totally do a tangent right now because I was intimidated by my small town local swimming pool workers that I had to do volunteer hours. And I walked in and nobody said hello to me and nobody acknowledged me. And then I just walked out and I was like, forget it. I'm not doing my volunteer hours. And I regret that to this day, because I really thought it would following through and finishing an accomplishment would have felt good to be a lifeguard. So anyway, I digress. I know first aid pretty well and I can do those things pretty good. So I knew the signs of what a stroke was. And I felt like my face was going soggy. My limbs were going numb. And I remember probably didn't yell, but I remember panicking, being like to my boyfriend, go find somebody. Cause I was about to die. I thought, I get emotional just thinking about it. Cause sitting there being like, this is going to be my last breath. And I think I was 33, maybe 34 at the time. And is this it? This is where it ends. This is it. I have to everything's gone. The curtain's going to come down. The show's over. And I remember him it felt like he sauntered so slowly to the desk to ask for someone to come. And a nurse came over and I was like, why aren't they rushing? How come nobody's coming to protect me? Oh my gosh. And I'm drawing so many parallels in my life right now over other things of how come no one's coming to help me is a resounding theme where I can, if we get into talking about my therapy, I can tell you where I tie that back to. But obviously externally, what I was feeling internally was not being displayed externally. And I remember this nurse coming over and he was so kind and he's breathe in for 4 and breathe out for 4. And I was literally couldn't. And he eventually just breathed with me and I was hyperventilating and I didn't even know it. And when you hyperventilate, all the oxygen gets out of your blood and then your limbs go numb. And because of the way the healthcare is set up, I didn't see a doctor for another 4 hours, which meant they couldn't administer any medication to me. So finally we got my breathing down, but I continued to throw up every 20 minutes for 4 hours. And I want to say we went to the hospital at 11:30. I don't know if that's true, but I remember being there and it was 4:30 in the morning till I finally saw a doctor. And he was able to give me, I think through IV anti-nausea, because I think they gave me some oral anti-nausea and I threw it up. But I had Reiki done the week before. This is the wild thing. Maybe the day, somewhere recently. And she said that she pulled the fertility card and she said, don't get freaked out. You're not having a baby, but it means you're about to birth something really huge. And I really think with life, there is death. And I think there was a death that night. A part of my being, a part of my, I don't know, soul, if you want to say, but I had purged all this physical stuff. It was August 30th, 2016. So I would have been 33. And it was after I tied it all together, it started to make sense. So I remember reaching out to her shortly after that being hey, because I remember she said after my Reiki, she said, don't be surprised if you poop a lot. And I know I can talk about that here because we talk about poop and farts here because we're just a bunch of awkward weirdos. And I didn't poop a lot, but I emailed her and I was like, hey, is it normal to have this kind of response? And she said, totally could be. What were you thinking about when you were in that hospital bed? And I was like, oh my gosh, the last night I thought I was going to be on this earth, I was thinking about work. I had these two really cool experiences that were coming up where I was going down to LA to teach with a big hair company, my hair balayage. And then I was also going to Seattle or Portland, I can't remember, one of the two, to teach my hair painting. And I was feeling out of my league. I was stretching myself. I was pushing myself. And I was really scared and nervous. And I remember while I was in the hospital bed thinking I should refund all their tickets. I should cancel going to the event. Who am I? That was the thought. Who am I? I'm just Dawn Bradley. I'm just a small town, anxious, awkward girl that never knew how to be confident in herself. Who am I? And the Reiki girl was interesting that on the night you thought you were dying, all you were thinking about was work. And that really hit me when I heard it. It really hit me because I was like, oof, ooh, yeah. I don't like that either. I should have been thinking about my loved ones and I should have thought of saying goodbye. And she said, sounds like it was stress-induced and maybe the Reiki and also the purging of all your physical things and of your old life. you just like really energetically made a shift in your life, and your body could be purging as well. And I was like, whoa. And it made so much sense. Whether you buy into that woo-y stuff or not, like, it makes so much sense. And I remember thinking, like, I want to go off the grid. If you've listened to any other previous episodes, I talk a lot about my failures. I'd fried someone's hair off. I moved to a new city where I knew no one, and I started building a clientele, and not everybody liked me. And that's hard, especially as a people pleaser who just wants everybody to like you. And so it took a lot of reflection, and I feel like I like really retracted. I needed some downtime to think of, what am I doing? What is my purpose? Why am I here? Because I had so much of my identity and my self-worth wrapped up in how much other people could like me, how much other people could accept me, how much other people could be happy with me, that when I didn't have that, I was like, who am I? I don't even know who I am. That to say, I had to start taking my anxiety seriously. I'm like, I don't wish that on my worst enemy. I never want anyone to have to go through anything like that ever again. Now, do I still have panic attacks? Yes, I have here and there, but I'm able to catch them before they get out of control. It meant becoming more self-aware. It meant doing the work. And I think here's the thing is, like, it is easier to go through life ignorant of yourself. It's easier to play the victim. And I don't think a lot of us realize that we're victimizing ourselves because we're strong, we're capable. But when we don't take personal responsibility for our life and our circumstances, even when they're not our fault, it's so easy to point the finger as why everything doesn't work out for you, or why you can't, shouldn't, won't, never would, could never, because it's external, because then you don't have to take personal responsibility. But when you start to take 100% responsibility for your life, your actions, or your inactions, and your decisions or lack of decisions, then you start to recognize your power within you, and you start to go, where do I need to shift? Where do I need to mature more? Where do I need to show up better? And honestly, doing that work was not easy. It was some of the hardest work I've ever had to do. But it's 100% worth it. And starting to recognize, getting into my body, what does my body feel like when I'm about to have a panic attack? How can I start deep breathing now so it doesn't fully turn into it? What do I need for support when that happens? And honestly, this week has been a really hard week for me, and I've had ups and down moments. And there's a moment where it's not like a physical tingly sensation, but like my nervous system starts going a little bit wacky, and it almost feels like I'm internally tingly. And that's when I know, you know what, I actually need to release the emotions in me. And so I find a lot of my panic attacks in the past where I was trying to hold it all in. I was trying to not feel it. I was trying to suppress, push down, push through. And then it's going to kick you in the ass at some point. It really is. And so I've learned, okay, like even this week, I'm like, oh, it's coming. Let's have a big cry. Okay, cry it out. And honestly, my therapist actually helped me with this. She's usually, if you just like actually emote your emotions, don't think about them, don't analyze them, don't intellectualize them, don't talk about them, don't talk yourself about them, just feel it out. And usually for me, it's a big cry. It could be different for everyone else. I know at different times in my life, it's been like going and running or going to a boxing class or something, like physically exerting myself. At this stage of the game, it's like I need to cry, and I just let her buck big time. And to the point where like I'm almost shaking, and my like tummy I'm going to get some good abs from this. But it takes about like 60 to 90 seconds, maybe 120 seconds usually, to feel an emotion fully and to have it gone. And the relief that comes after is so good. And I'm really like, shout out to my therapist, Mackenzie, who's really helped me realize you're going to get through this. I was in her office this week and just chatting with her. And I'm like, I'm so scared to feel the pain. And she's like, you're going to be okay. And you're going to be put back together before you leave. And I think that's the thing is like my anxiety attacks came from a place of avoiding feeling, processing, experiencing, and validating pain in my life that I didn't want to look at for a really long time. And me personally, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I can't give advice on this. But if you want to stop your anxiety attacks, I think you need to stop being scared of that monster that you think is in your closet, or that thing that you don't want to address that's in your life, whether if it's something from childhood, if it's something from your work, if it's like, I generally believe that, and again, my uneducated opinion on anxiety is it's fear of the future They say depression is like thinking about being stuck in the past and anxiety is being stuck in the future. And so for me, finding a really grounding presence of getting my feet on grass or getting on the ground or just like grounding myself with the meditation. And I am a overthinker, as like I overthink everything and I'll think of everything from every angle. And I have a real, being blindsided is really hard for me. And so I'm always trying to picture every possible scenario so that I can be prepared for every possible scenario. And that's just not possible. And so how to be grounded in the present moment, how to be secure in myself, and how to take care of myself first and foremost, and what's best for me, regardless of other people. I can still be kind, compassionate, and caring towards other people without having to worry about them because they need to have, they got them. And so as a people pleaser, because I know you are, as someone who wants to make others feel good because you would never want them to feel the ways you felt in your life, how can you treat yourself the way you treat other people? How can you honor yourself? And there's a fine line between being selfish and inconsiderate and actually being like, the best way I can take care of you right now is to take care of me this way. And I think learning how to communicate that is really important. These are a lot of the things that I teach my students in Rock Your Business from a business perspective of like how to let a client know that you can't squeeze them in or how to let someone know that you're not able to give them what they want. But I think this applies to so many areas of life and reduces a lot of our anxiety of feeling like we have to say yes to something that we can't fulfill. And learning how to be like, I really want to say yes, but I have to say no. Or I really want to say yes, but I need a moment to think about that. Or you know what, I really want to say yes, but I'm recognizing that I don't have the capacity for this right now. Or I need to check in with my partner or XYZ. And these things all reduce our anxiety, which reduce the chances of having a panic attack. And so I really want you to just think about that today. What are the things in your life that you aren't doing that aren't honoring you? And I said last week, I've been going for morning walks every morning. I've been continuing it. It's a commitment to myself that I want to do. And a couple mornings it's been hard. And right now it's nice weather. I'm already getting into the overthinking of what am I going to do in winter. And I'm like, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. Just day by day, don't not start something because you're like, I could never follow through on it long term. Start today, start messy, take messy, immediate, imperfect action, and be amazed at how you can show up in your life.
Thanks for hanging with me through that one. Whether you're in the thick of it right now or just needed the reminder that you're not alone, please know this. You are not too much, your feelings are not a burden, and you can take your power back. One grounded breath and one small action at a time. If today's episode hit home and you're ready to shift from overwhelmed and anxious to steady and sustainable in your business, I'd love for you to check out my free masterclass, From Overwhelmed to Profitable, How to Build a Sustainable, Stress-Free Business. You can head to dawnbradley.com/free class to get instant access or click the link in the show notes. And remember, healing, growth, and success don't come from doing more. They come from doing differently. So until next time, stay weird, stay messy, and stay unapologetically you.